All right, so on to the main card of the evening. It's not the best main card in the world, but let's be honest, as we talked about before, often when that's the case, you know, it can often deliver. Yeah. So we've got 6 fights on the main card. I'm particularly intrigued by the co and the main. They're pretty decent fights. So let's get into it with the first fight on the card, which is a welterweight clash between URBINA and RADTKE. Now, I've gone back and forth on this one. This is the one that I'm really unsure about. I am gonna edge URBINA, and it's mostly because RADTKE went to a very, very close. Well, there's a few reasons for this. RADTKE went to a very, very close fight with Blood Diamond, who is one of the worst MMA fighters I've ever seen in my life. And I think that's being kind. I think that's being fair. I don't want to be too hard.
Oh man.
I think that's reasonable. And Blood Diamond was beating the shit out of him in that 3rd round. And RADTKE had to survive. He was. And I quite like URBINA's, and I think he's got really good body kicks. I think he's got really good variety. He was fighting Kosuke though, who sucks. So that's again something that I find very difficult to put too much stock in. So my worry in that is that URBINA does use a lot of body kicks, and there is a chance that when somebody does that, they can get a body kick caught and then taken down. I just think that URBINA is bigger and stronger. He's a natural welterweight, whereas for RADTKE, he's more of a natural lightweight. And I just think that URBINA is going to have the strength and size advantage in this one. He's considerably bigger. It will be interesting if it goes to the ground. RADTKE does have a really good rear naked choke, so that could be a concern. And his stand-up is all right. He does have decent pop. I just like URBINA's. I like the role that URBINA's on. I like his size. This is another minimal confidence one, but I'm going to edge it for URBINA.
Yeah, I got to go with URBINA too. You know, URBINA, he's 6'3".
Big dude.
Chuck Buffalo is 5'9". So that alone is going to be a problem. And I mean, in remembering that fight with Blood Diamond, he shouldn't have been in that fight, you know? He shouldn't have allowed him to be in that fight, and he did. And that let me know, you know, as far as where his level is at right now. And URBINA has been in there with some pretty stiff competition. I think he fought Sean Brady previously, and Brian Battle.
He did very well against Brian Battle as well. He lost the fight, but there were moments when he did very well, and I think Battle's good.
I think Battle is very good, and so I think that because of that competition that he's had, the learning that he's gotten from those losses, his size, his attributes, and just his ferocity, I think that he wins, and I think he finishes him. This is the no-brainer bet for me. Like, I would definitely bet on URBINA.
I've heard with RADTKE that he's one of those guys who's really, really good in the gym, but just sometimes can't quite pull it together on fight night, which is something, and it shows. I mean, like I said, the Blood Diamond, and again, that was his very first fight in the UFC, so I do have to take that into consideration as well. You know, there's nerves involved and all of that. It's like you said, though, he shouldn't have let Blood Diamond stick around for that long. That fight should have been over. And I think against somebody like URBINA, who's dog tough and will bring heat and size and strength, I have to side of URBINA. So we agree on that one.
You want a quick Blood Diamond story?
Go ahead, yeah. I've got time for a Blood Diamond. I've always got time for a Blood Diamond story.
So as you know, I'm an Israel Adesanya, Dan Hooker, Alexander Volkanovski, like that whole city kickboxing Like, I'm a fan of what they do down there. And so when I saw that Blood Diamond was one of the people that was, coming up under them, I was really excited to see how he did when he got into the UFC. And, lo and behold, he pops up in the UFC, and I get tickets to go to the Pena Nunes 2 fight here in Dallas. And so, I'm telling CJ, like, hey, we got to get there early. Blood Diamond's going to fight. I really want to see it. And that's, yeah, dude, I was so disappointed. I like him so much.
That makes me feel sad. I've got to be honest.
I really want him to succeed, and it never happens when I'm watching.
Yeah, so, it doesn't. Do you know what? Yeah, I don't know how to say his second name properly as well. It's like it's one of those, it's a very hard surname to say without sounding like you've got a speech impediment.
It does.
See? You see?
It does sound like it. Yeah.
You see? Yeah. I set you up for that one.
You did.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a horrific experience, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're.
But he's 500 right now. You know what I'm saying? He's 500. He doesn't have a losing record, so I mean, he'll make his way back.
He's never getting cut. If you can be 3-3 and still fighting, and you're never getting cut. You're uncuttable. I think
he's out.
I'm pretty sure he's in. I'm pretty sure
he's still there.
No, I'm pretty sure he's in Israel Adesanya's contract. He's like, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to let him go under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Anyway, sorry. I enjoyed that story. As sad as it was.
It was sad.
All right, the next one is actually a very interesting fight as well. This card isn't actually that bad now that I think about it. We've got a middleweight scrap between KHIZRIEV and MURADOV. A lot of people are seeing this as a decent matchup, and there are a few things to consider here. The only thing that makes me a little bit wary on KHIZRIEV is the inactivity, and that's the only thing that I can put against this man. Because Muradov's a bit of a weird one. Like, he's not bad. Saying he's bad would be very, very unfair, but I don't think the guy is outstanding at anything. And I genuinely think that KHIZRIEV is going to ragdoll him. I think he's going to ragdoll him. I think he's going to get on top. And when he gets on top, this man does not lay there. He throws bombs. Yeah. Like, he's not a lay and pray type of, typical Dagestani. I know he's Russian, but, technically Dagestani kind of grappling, where you get people down, you get position. He gets you on the floor and he throws absolute bombs.
Yeah.
And I just think Muradov's a little bit overrated. I think he's one of those typical jack of all trades, master of none situation. I do think he'll be a slightly better striker than KHIZRIEV, but I don't think it's going to matter. He does horribly against wrestlers. I think he's going to get dragged down, and I think KHIZRIEV is going to beat the shit out of him. And I can see it being... I think he's going to finish him. It might take until the midpoint of the second round, because Muradov's not a scrub.
No.
But I think KHIZRIEV's going to make a statement here. I think he's going to take him down, and I think he's going to batter him. And I think this is one of the locks of the night for me. I like KHIZRIEV, and I think he's going to get it done.
Yeah, I would go KHIZRIEV as well. I wonder, when it comes to KHIZRIEV, because of his height, like he's only 5'9", and
very short guy for the division.
Yeah, when
he's a bit fluffy, isn't he?
Moving up, he is. So I feel like he could work his way down to welterweight. I mean, he takes off enough time in between fights, work his way down to welterweight, and see if he can do some damage there. Because I feel like the more he moves up in the division and fights real 185ers, like, he's going to run into some issues when he can't get people down and they force him to strike. And his reach
is not good.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. But in this fight, I think he'll do just fine. I think like you said, I think it'll go just like that. He'll take him down and smash his face in. So Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. That's what's going to happen. He's going to be 15-0
They've
before
set
the
this
night's
up
over.
on purpose. I think they know that Muradov is not going to be. He's not going anywhere at this point. Like,
Nah.
so they're like, right, we'll bring the next guy up to destroy him. Sometimes it's very contrived what the UFC do. You can see exactly what they're setting up here, and I think the odds on this one are pretty good as well. And you can get KHIZRIEV at like -160, which is not bad. He's there. He's what I'm going to be sticking on.
Yeah, in fairness to Muradov, like, he didn't look bad against Barberena. I mean, he won that fight, but he didn't look bad. And like you said, he's not a bad. Yeah, he did lose that one. And was it Kai Barajo? He lost to him as well.
Yes, and it was the exact same. And Kai Barajo is a better striker than KHIZRIEV is, but I would say KHIZRIEV's got a better takedown game than Barajo, maybe marginally, but Barajo took him down easily. Yeah, easily. And someone who's very aggressive like KHIZRIEV, and is much more aggressive on the ground, it's not a good matchup for him.
Yeah, that's really the key to this one, is the aggression, and KHIZRIEV has all of that.
Yeah, and he should come in there fresh as a daisy as well. He won't have any injuries or anything. I mean, how could he? Doing nothing.
Dude's been off for like almost 2 years.
It's crazy. Yeah, I like KHIZRIEV in this one. I think it's going to be good. All right, fight number 3. This one is not that bad as well. You see what I mean? It's not terrible. We got a flyweight fight between. I think this one is all right. Araujo and Natalia Silva. Now, again, the odds on this one are not good. It's a massive step up for Silva, I think, who has looked really, really good. You know, she's the younger fighter. She's got really good hands. Like, I like Silva's hands a lot. But again, the issue that I have here, Araujo has faced much better competition. And we've seen how that's gone in recent history. I mean, this feels like another Pennington Silva situation. The only difference for me here is I just think Silva does have very fast hands. She's got very slick hands. I can see this being a tougher test than people are expecting. And again, Silva's floating around at about -400. And I don't like that at all. Does that surprise you hearing that?
No, not at all.
I mean, Araujo did just beat Jennifer Maia as well, who I think is actually... I'm quite high on Jennifer Maia, who was actually cut after that. I think she's actually a very good fighter, which is odd. She must have done something.
It was really odd. I don't know what happened.
I'm not confident in this one at all. I'm really not. But it's because of the competition disparity, you know. I think Araujo, if she grabs hold of her and makes it ugly, this could be it could be squeaky bum. If you're using Silva as like a parlay fluffer and you're chucking her in at -400s, I don't love it. And again, that's why I'm feeling like, I do think Silva's going to win. I think it will be very close. But again, if I'm betting money on this, I'm going over 2.5. I'm going over 2.5. I think that Silva will have the better of it, but this feels like a trap for me. I'm not betting Silva at -350. There's no way. -350 is the best I've seen on that. I'm not betting that. There's no way. It feels like a trap. So I'm going over 2.5. But I think Silva will edge it.
Man, so I have been very high on Natalia Silva and Karine Silva. I mean, just out the gate, I've been high on them. And for me personally, I would have to put my money where my mouth is, and I would have to bet on her. But as far as the actual fight itself, Araujo has, I mean, she's 37 years old. She's been in the UFC. She's seen it and done it, and fought all kinds of different styles. So Silva's not going to give her anything that she hasn't seen. But the question is, can you stop it? And if Silva is able to punish her when Araujo is trying to get her hands on her, then I think that Silva can take this one. But to your point, like, the step up in the competition is
huge,
pretty great. pretty great because, I mean, before this fight, what was her last fight? Silva's, who she beat? Lee. Yeah. So Lee was at the back end of the top 15. So she takes her number, and now she's going to try to jump up like 4 or 5 more numbers. Like that's a big jump.
That's a big ask. They're clearly fast tracking her.
Jump.
It is a
they
big
are.
jump.
I mean, obviously, you can see why. I mean, she's, you know, easy on the eyes, shall I say?
I was going to mention that, but I
yeah,
you know, that does make it hard.
I mean, that does help. It does help. It does help.
Certainly helps me.
But as far as the fight's concerned, I'm gonna take Silva. I would bet Silva, but I wouldn't advise other people to bet because that's a lot. It's
a lot. Yeah.
That definitely feels like a trap.
Yeah, it does to me as well. But like I said, I do like Silva. I think she's very good. I think she's, again, the striking is excellent. She's very, very sharp and quick. And ARAUJO is not the quickest. But it kind of depends on what she does. If she grabs a hold of her, because we haven't seen Silva tested in that way where she's been taken down, we could find a case of once she's down there, struggles, and that's where I'm worried at betting it at -350. But so I'm going to take the over, but it's good of you to put your money where your mouth is, and I can see why you would, because she is excellent. I just haven't seen her tested yet, and that's the worry for me. All right, so feature fight. This is another interesting one. We've got a welterweight bout between Brown and Salikhov. Now, this fight was rebooked, I think. I think it was supposed to happen at UFC 296, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure who pulled out of it. I can't remember off the top of my head who was responsible, but it's a tricky one. Randy Brown is, you know, obviously he's younger, very competent kickboxer, and he's going to have a very sizable reach advantage. I think he's got 9 inches of reach on him.
Something silly like that,
Yeah. What makes me kind of nervous about Brown, though, is he does have a tendency to kind of plant his lead leg down, and he's got very skinny legs. And Salikhov does like to whack away at the calf. But what most people probably don't realize about Salikhov is, you know, because you see the OV at the end of the name, you just assume he's very grapple heavy. He's not really, you know, he's somebody who goes out there and strikes. So I think because of the age disparity and the reach advantage, I am going to edge Randy Brown in this one. I don't really love Brown on the odds again, so I don't know if I'm necessarily going to play it. I do think he's going to get his leg chewed at certain times, but I think if he's careful and evades that, I think he's going to land enough long-range strikes, and I think he's going to win, you know, a decision. I could see it being 30-27, 29-28, but it will be a UD win for Randy Brown, I think. And I think he'll just do enough to edge 2 rounds pretty clearly by just outlanding Salikhov.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of backwards fighting for Randy Brown, sniping him, getting his lead leg out of the way, with Salikhov kind of marching forward, using, you know, his tools. What is he, the king of Kung Fu? That's his nickname. Kung Fu is
the problem as well for me. It's so soy, isn't it? Kung Fu is just like,
man.
It's like,
that's just,
I know it's a good discipline. Weird. I know karate is as well, but I don't know. Sorry, as you were saying.
Yeah, but I think that Randy has started to figure out how to use that reach, and people don't. I mean, and you really can't look at the John Jones that we saw recently, but the John Jones when he was making his run, the way that he was able to use his reach against people, those are things that people like Randy Brown and Kevin Holland and people who have those attributes should be patterning themselves after and using. And I think that Randy is starting to do that. And against somebody who he has that type of reach advantage against, and you know what their game plan is, you got to start to use that. And I think that he does in this fight. And I think that Randy wins by decision. I don't think he finishes him. But yeah, I think Randy wins by decision. I'd bet it. I would. I'd bet. I mean, I know that Randy's the favorite, but I'd bet it as part of a parlay. I'd be cool with
And the
that.
odds aren't too wide.
Actually,
I think you can get him at like -175 to -200, which isn't terrible. It's about right.
Crazy.
It's about right as well. It's one of those ones where I saw the odds, I was a bit like, that's not affecting how I'm seeing this fight, because I often do see it from a betting perspective, because obviously that's what I do on here for this one.
Yeah. I mean, and really too, you know, Randy's only loss in his last 5 is against Jack Della Maddalena, and that's not a bad loss to have.
No, it's not. And that was a striking battle, which is what you don't want to do with Jack. So yeah. No, I think he'll be okay. And Salikhov's my age, and no, I have to get up twice a night to take a piss. So I can only imagine what it's like for him. So that will play a factor.
I don't know what he's pissing. It might not be regular stuff.
Yeah, I don't think so. I like the fight though. I think, and again, it's not terrible. I mean, when you actually look at the individual fights to this card, there's potential here for it to be decent. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you can get up and, you know, get refreshments, you know, if you need to grab a beer or something, you know, if you need to do that, you know, go ahead and hop up during that Molly McCann against Diana.
I'm always grateful for that. I am.
Yeah. So those are like built-in commercials if you need.
Oh, and then she'll spitting back fist her in the head again, and then we'll be like,
damn.
Just yeah.
I missed it.
I missed it again. All right. So, co-main event. I think this obviously. So we've got a lightweight scrap between Drew Dober and Renato Moicano. This strikes me as a little bit of an odd one, because I obviously think that Drew Dober. I mean, it's a great fight. I feel like it's a bit of an odd one for Moicano to take, because I feel like he was looking that way. Andrew Dober, despite having a lot of decent wins in his career, you know, he still hasn't really cracked that top 15 yet. And I feel like this is a risky one. You know, Moicano, I do think Moicano is the better fighter overall. And, you know, I do feel a little bit biased because I've actually had like quite a few interactions with Moicano in the past. He said some really funny shit about my channel, actually.
What's up, bad MMA math? You are the motherfucker scumbag.
I've got like a little sound bite where when he first got on YouTube, we had a few interactions, so I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Moicano. And shout out to his YouTube as well. It's actually pretty hilarious. The worry for me in this one is that Dober is obviously, you know, he's the definition of a Chad. And if if he's where it says Chad in the dictionary, you just see that chin and that smirk. That picture would be right there. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
I would be a lot more confident if Moicano was active and had been active, but he's coming off a lot of injuries, and that's why I'm not supremely confident about this. I will say as well though, whenever Dober seems to reach a certain point in his career, you know, where he's facing the next level, and you just think, right, he wins this one, he's in the top 15 and away he goes. That's where he seems to hit a wall. And he is a tough one to pick against because his power is legit real. Like if he cracks you, you know, you're going. But I think, you know, if you look at the losses that Moicano's had, he's only really lost to the elite in the division. You know, the guys who are really sitting in the top 10 now. I'm going to edge Moicano. I think he's going to get this one done. I like him as well. I wouldn't be surprised one way or another. And I am actually going to bet on Moicano because I like him. But again, not the most confident. They're both dogs. Moicano does have a little bit of a dodgy chin, but Dober's been clipped as well. So I just think skill for skill, I'm edging Renato Moicano to get this done.
So I definitely understand your points, and especially the personal connection with Money Moicano, but that
I can see it coming.
Man, I don't like the inconsistent trips to the cage. When you have been out for so long, You have to find a way to get reacclimated into, the flow of the cage, how it feels, from an internal perspective as well as external. And Drew Dober is not going to give him that time. And once you get cracked by Drew Dober, like, you're going to be very confused about everything, about the decisions that you made leading up to being in the cage, about what you're supposed to do next. Everything, you're going to be in a cloud of confusion. And so I think that Drew, like you said, he's got insane power. What does he have? I think he has 4 or 5 knockouts in a row, something silly. I think
he certainly got a lot of knockouts in the UFC. I know he got smoked by, who was it? Was it
Matt
Turner or somebody? There was somebody who smoked him. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, Matt Steamroller Frivola.
Oh, it was Matt Frivola.
Yeah.
It was Matt. Yeah, he got absolutely starched in that one. But he can crack as well. Yeah. So.
Yes, he can. But I got to go Drew Dober on this one.
I don't blame you.
And you're absolutely right as far as, like, when he hits a certain level of fighter, if they're able to nullify the way that he marches people down, because all of his knockouts seem to be right when the person's in that danger zone, that outside of the line on the octagon on the inside of the on the mat, between that and the fence, you can't be there with Drew Dober. As soon as you step in that zone,
and I do think Moicano is quite an intelligent fighter, and I think he's very skilled. But like I said, for the reasons we've both just talked about, there are significant kind of red flags on both sides, and there are significant white flags on both sides. So
whatever I think if I was betting, I would bet that this fight ends in the second round. I think it one way or the other.
You can see like either a choke for Moicano or him. Again, the old ass up, chin down.
Yeah.
Award for the night. Again, it's a great fight though. It's a bit of a puzzler to me, and I guess Moicano is probably taking it because he has been inactive and is like, I can't go much lower than Dober. So he's kind of, and he knows it's going to be it's a fight that people want, because I know, being somebody who was on his YouTube quite regularly, he does interact with the fans a lot, and the fans were saying you need to fight him.
And he is hilarious.
He's hilarious.
He's funny.
Just imagine that interview he had after that's him. This is not an act. This is not a performance. No. He is that person. He literally called me. He called me a cocksucker motherfucker. That's what he called me.
Oh, he was talking about you. I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that, yeah? I mean, he's got a point.
Congratulations.
Do you know what I mean? He's got a point. He nailed it, to be fair. he did nail it. He got me. I had nothing. I was speechless, which you don't see often, Yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a nice fight. And again, it's a good co-main. I think you see this as the co-main of a fight night. You're not complaining. You're not like,
not at all.
This sucks. No. Which brings us on to the main event of the evening. And we have a middleweight fight between IMAVOV and Roman Dolidze. Now again, I think this is okay as a main event. I don't think it's a horrible fight night main event. Like, I'm not too upset with it, I'm going to cut to the chase here. I'm going with IMAVOV. I think he's really good. I think his stand-up is way better than Dolidze's. I think Dolidze does have a lot of power, but let's be fair. I mean, he's a wrestler by trade. He's kind of discovered his power. And, if you think about the guys that he's chinned, Phil Hawes, I mean, it's Phil Hawes.
Yeah.
And I think there's something that makes me a little bit weird about how this pick, and it kind of goes in both ways, because obviously we know that Roman Dolidze recently had a child with Cheyenne Vlismas. And being a dad can go two ways. It can either make you've got the late nights, you've got all that stuff, or it can just make you even more determined and more of a superhero than ever. We've both got kids, we know how that can go. For me, the issue is two things. I think IMAVOV is the much more clean striker. and I think his takedown defense is very underrated. But I think what really pushes this for me, it's a 5-rounder. And I've just seen Roman Dolidze gas so often. Once it gets past the second round, it feels like he's surviving the third a lot of the time. We saw it against Marvin Vettori where he really struggled once it got past that 10-minute range. And IMAVOV, I mean, I know he got dealt with by Strickland. You know, he probably only won 1 round of that fight. But he was in it. He was still swinging in round 5. He still had some juice left in the tank. So for those reasons, I like IMAVOV. If this was a 3-rounder, I'd be like, ooh, you know, Roman gets him down in round 1. They have a dodgy second. You don't know, you know, that has split decision written all over it, or close decision written all over it if it's a 3-rounder. But with 5, I think Roman's going to gas, and I think IMAVOV is going to either finish him late or win a very clear 5-round decision where he just outlands him, outstrikes him. I like that. I'm going to IMAVOV.
Yeah, I gotta go IMAVOV as well. One, you know how I am with nicknames. I always look at nicknames, and Roman Dolidze's nickname is the Caucasian. So
I'm sorry,
there wasn't a lot of thought. Yeah, that's his nickname, the Caucasian. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The
Why?
Caucasian. Yeah.
Do you know what? I think I need to apologize to Bilal Muhammad. You do not have the worst nickname in the UFC. That is
Caucasian.
brain dead.
It felt like he was filling out a form. He was like, you know what? I can't pick black. Caucasian. That's a good nickname, guys. I'm gonna go with that one. That's
is
not the best one, but his wrestling is really good. But
It is.
I think that IMAVOV he's prepared for that. He knows that that's coming. He knows what's going to happen there, and I just think that he's just outright just a better fighter. He's more well-rounded. Even though Dolidze he does have a lot of power, his power is predictable. You know what kind of punches he's going to throw with that power.
It's the fourth grade.
Also
it's the 4th grade helicopter swinging, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. If you get caught with it, yeah, it's going to be a problem. But you know it's coming. Duck.
Yeah.
You know? So
Move.
just move out the way.
Move out the way.
And you know he's going to get tired. You know he's going to get tired. So
100%.
I think that IMAVOV wins, and it'll be a convincing decision. I don't think that he gets him out of there because Dolidze is tough. But he's just not. He's not on that level. He's not ready for that.
Yeah, I agree.
And IMAVOV is going to do what he needs to do to get out of there with a win.
And IMAVOV's a lot younger as well. I think he's like 4 or 5 years younger. He seems to be coming into his prime, and he's been in there with Sean Strickland. You know, I know
Chris
that
Curtis too.
Chris Curtis.
Even though
I know that he beat Chris Curtis, didn't he? Oh no,
it was a draw.
It was a draw, or it was a no contest or whatever. Wasn't I can't remember exactly, but I remember it was a draw. I think it was a draw.
Yeah,
that was a good fight. I like IMAVOV.
I remember they tried to feed IMAVOV to Edmund Shabazian, and they thought that Shabazian was on his way back.
Now there's an overrated gentleman.
Nah, bruh.
While we're on the subject,
yeah, that didn't work out. He actually just got a fight announced, I think, too. But
he's still in the UFC. That's really nice for him.
Yeah,
it's nice.
I think he was in Ronda's contract.
Oh yeah, that's very. And they say charity doesn't exist in MMA. Clearly does.
Yeah, it really does, man. It does.
Yeah.
It helps the less fortunate.
It does. You know.
Oh yeah, because Edmund Shabazian is fighting Dusko Todorovic.
Yeah, that's actually all right. I think he might win that, you know.
Todorovic
can crack, but how's he still in the UFC? This is definitely a good buy. Yeah, this is a pink slip matchup. My favorite type of. If I can't get a title fight, I want a pink slip matchup.
I think that they should announce those.
I think they should make it official.
Bruce Buffer, yeah, make it official. Like Bruce Buffer should say that, you know, the same way that he says, you know, the BMF title match or whatever.
That would be amazing. And I mean, they can sweeten
Pink
it up
slip.
by saying like, oh, you know, this is a pink slip. You get a little pay bump, but this is it's now or never. That would be amazing.
It'll make it
I'm
more
daydreaming
interesting.
again. Just tend to do that.
Oh man.
So yeah, so this will be an overview of both of our picks. You'll be able to see it on the screen right now. I do think that this is actually, there is some value in this card. I think if you are betting on it this weekend, I think there is value to be found. And I also think that I think having gone through it with you this evening, I'm actually a lot more excited for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a big fan of Apex cards, as you know, but this is not a terrible one. Compared to some of the dross we got last year, this has some fights on it that I'm reasonably excited for. And
yeah, I mean, fights that are important in divisions as well, like the Silva and ARAUJO fight is important. DOLIDZE and IMAVOV is important.
yes,
So like they've got some fights that actually mean something. They're not just smacking two people's names together on the board in the war room.
yeah, they make sense. You can see where they've come up with a lot of these matchups. It makes sense, which is always important to me as well, you know, as the purists that we are.
Yes, sir. Pure.
All right, so just a quick reminder before we sign off. To those people who do, I probably am going to split this video in two because it's been our usual way where we just end up going off on little tangents, which is perfect. So I will cut that. So you'll get a prelim card, which I'll be releasing tonight, which will be on the 1st of February, and then the main card will come tomorrow, just to give a little bit of space in between. But for those of you who do watch either or both videos, drop your parlays in the comments. I really appreciated people doing that last year. You know, just drop whoever you happen to be betting on and what odds you're getting it at, because it's always nice to you know, to have some ideas as well, because like sometimes the parlays are where I fall down, but I do it for a little bit of fun. So if you're watching this, please do that. Is there anything you've got coming up that you want to talk about while we're here?
Let's see. Well, I have a couple of interviews coming up. One I won't say just yet, but one that's already out there is with Tom Theocaris, and definitely.
Which was
check
after
that
he
out.
got that.
And
What was
then-
it? 37-second knockout, was it?
Yeah. 32.
That was a
seconds
great
of
interview.
Something.
He
silly.
looked so
Yeah.
happy. Do you know that he was buzzing? He couldn't wait to talk about it. He was buzzing.
Yeah, he was like. But yeah, man, y'all go check that out. And then also our conversation, just recapping what we saw on 297, as well as other issues like Bellator and PFL's weirdness in the bantamweight division. It's
always fun to talk about.
Yeah, go and check that out.
Well, I appreciate it. And thanks a lot for doing these cards. Hopefully we can do them more regularly. It's much more fun doing it with somebody else rather than just me just ranting at the screen as usual. But yeah, thanks to everyone. I hope you enjoyed this one. And again, drop those bets in the comments. Have a great week. And I'll see you for the reaction in a bit.